Warning! This video contains spoilers for K-Pop Demon Hunters. Yep, I finally watched K-Pop Demon Hunter. Let's talk about it. Hey, brother. Y'all, the moment I first saw the banner on Netflix promoting K-Pop Demon Hunter, I knew it was going to be something special, and yet it took me until just this past weekend to finally get around to watching it, and wow. Since then, the movie has been hyped like crazy to me, and I was worried maybe it wasn't going to live up to that hype, but from the word go, it is captivating, endearing, beautifully and hilariously animated, and oh my god, does the music go hard. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go do that because you will not regret it and it's not going away. They've already announced the sequel and probably two, which is good because the first one leaves a lot of questions unanswered, I have to say. I'm sorry, who are Rumi's parents? And is Jinu really gone for good? Is Guima really gone for good? Did they actually succeed in casting a golden Hanmoon at the end? What happened to the rest of the demons? I mean, some of those were just people, right? And did the tiger ever successfully set up the flower pot? You know? I love that tiger. But perhaps most importantly is what is next for Huntrix? Is the band even complete? Or is the reason no hunters have been able to complete the Hanmoon since the beginning because they're still awaiting a fourth hunter? Well, spoilers, they totally are, and I feel quite certain our girls are gonna find them, or is it possible we've already met them? Today, we show you how it's done. The music is so catchy. Hey, brother! Okay, so I've had to learn a lot about, K-pop and Korean mythology in a very short time, so apologies if I'm missing anything basic here. But before we dive into all of that, let's dive into the movie itself, which opens on the history of the Hunters. We learn right away that throughout time, there have always been a trio of hunters who have come together to both unite people with their music, thus forming the Hanmoon shield that keeps the evil forces of the demons at bay, and to fight the ones who get through with epic ethereal weapons. I seriously cannot get over how great the animation is in this movie. Even my wife, who was usually less into animated stuff and zones out during fight scenes, was like, whoa, that was an amazing fight scene. Anyway, the Hanmoon is formed by igniting the souls and bringing together of those who hear the music, and I guess the ultimate goal is to gain such a large audience that they can level up the Hanmoon to golden, which would create a permanent, unbreakable shield against the demons forever. And generation after generation, the popularity of Korean girl bands has grown and grown to where it exists in the modern era with Huntrix and its three members, Rumi, Zoe, and Mara, who are set to complete the Golden Hanmoon fittingly with their song Golden, which I'm sure, even if you haven't seen the movie, you have heard by now. And I guess you could call them a golden trio, eh? No, not that golden trio, but that is the correct phrase, which pays homage to actual real-life generations of K-pop stars. In fact, if you go back through those early few groups in the movie and compare them to real-life Korean girl groups throughout the decades, they bear very similar resemblances to the likes of the Kim sisters, the Hee sisters, which spawned the breakout star Isuni, and then SES. And that last one, SES in particular, I think is supposed to be referenced by the Sunset Sisters that in the movie, Celine, Rumi's mentor, was a part of, along with Rumi's mother, who died when she was a baby. Mystery unsolved. But so as you can see, the Golden Trio format was a long-standing tradition in Korean girl groups. But here's where it gets fun. Modern girl groups are no longer just three, and yet Huntrix is. In particular, though, we need to look at the real-life K-pop band Blackpink. And if you don't know who they are, this is a good time to Google it, because they're huge. Do you remember Mook from White Lotus last season? Yes, her, the one who was almost a side character, but if you didn't know, is casually high and away the most famous person on the show, also better known as Lisa from Blackpink.
Oh, my father will hear about this.
Jason Isaacs was also on the show. That's the joke there. But I'll go ahead and save you the trouble of having to Google Blackpink. The group is composed of 4 members: Jisoo, Jennie, Rose, and Lisa. Regarded by various publications as the biggest girl group in the world, they are recognized as a leading force in the Korean wave and ambassador of the girl crush concept in K-pop, which explores themes of self-confidence and female empowerment. Which, by the way, struggling with self-confidence because of like her demon marks is Rumi's whole plot in the movie. And obviously it's like boy band versus girl band and the girls are the heroes, so, you know, female empowerment. Oh God, I'm not gonna be able to say this song. Ugh, I'm gonna have to listen to it to get the rhythm down. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, well, bear with me here. Okay. Do. Also, not for nothing, but go listen to Blackpink's song Do and tell me it is not the direct inspiration for Get It Done 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 Do. Y'all, we gotta take a brief pause right there to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Therapy. It's like wearing your favorite hoodie and sitting on your couch. Couch. And look, today's video is a new subject for the channel, and as a result, you may be new here, but here at SCB, a focus on mental health is a big deal. Ben and I are both regulars in therapy, and we offer our team a no questions asked policy to take appointments whenever they need. And because October contains World Mental Health Day, we wanted to take a moment to give a massive thank you to the therapists of the world. Because therapy can take courage to show up and require some work and vulnerability, but the results, a better self-esteem, processing past trauma, learning to communicate, and setting boundaries are all huge personal wins. Feels like a lot of K-pop Demon Hunters could have been solved if Rumi had some therapy. That's all I'm saying. But honestly, be proud of those wins, because when you go to therapy, you have earned them. And we also want to take this moment to give thanks to the therapists of the world who make these results possible. Therapy is obviously and importantly a very private experience, which can mean these heroes don't always get the recognition they deserve. So this World Mental Health Day, we are celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/super. That's betterhelp.com/super. Now back to the video. But you don't have to take my word for it. I bring up Blackpink because Demon Hunter director Maggie Kang has revealed that they were the inspiration for HUNTR. And like, not for nothing, but you may notice that there are only 3 members of HUNTR, but 4 in Blackpink. So what gives? Sequels is what gives, but it goes way deeper than just comparing the 2 bands. We also have to get into some very fun Korean mythology that points directly towards a 4th band member. Specifically, we need to talk about what's known as the 4 symbols, which are each a mythological creature, which each represent an element, a color, and a cardinal direction. That's north, south, east, west. You may also know them as the 4 gods, the 4 auspicious beasts, or perhaps the most appropriate for this movie, the 4 guardians. They are the azure dragon of the east, the vermilion bird of the south, the white tiger of the west, and the black tortoise or black warrior of the north. And wouldn't you know it, our 3 leading ladies, Rumi, Zoe, and Mara, match up pretty exactly with 3 of these mythological creatures, leaving 1 left on the table. Let's break it down. First is the azure dragon of the east. This is going to be Zoe. The trio wears a lot of different outfits throughout the movie, but the ones that are the most important for this theory are the ones they are first introduced to us in on the plane. These are their signature looks that best represent each of their individual personalities and how the movie wants you to know them out of the gate, and each girl in the scene is wearing a signature color. So getting back to Zoe, aka the Azure Dragon of the East. If you know about the color azure, you might think of it as blue, but in particular, the Azure Dragon is also known as the Blue Dragon, the Green Dragon, or the Blue-Green Dragon. And would you just look at Zoe's top and bottom? Blue and green. And not just that, but oh my god, what is that? Is that a dragon on her pants? Yes, it is! An azure dragon. What are the odds? Not to mention her weapons of choice are these little daggers, which when she's holding in her hands, look tremendously like dragon claws. And in case you're curious, her season would be spring, and her element is wood. But then next up, we've got Mara, described by the fans as the black sheep of the family, and indeed, she is going to represent the black tortoise, or warrior, of the north. And again, right away in that opening scene, she is wearing the signature color as her shirt. And one of the first images we see of her is wearing a sleeping bag to the Met Gala. And not for nothing, but it's a black sleeping bag, and her head is sticking out, like a tortoise. Also, check out her shoulder pad here. I mean, it totally looks like a turtle shell. And yes, I know Rumi has a shoulder pad too, but hers is like spiky and has that pink stripe on it, which is really more of a subtle hint to like her demon marks. Don't worry, I have a lot to say about Rumi. Mara is also self-described as overly blunt, short-fused, and highly aggressive, things she usually likes to hide as if in a shell, but she feels okay being in front of her friends. But if you want to fill out the rest of her little chart there, in addition to north and black, she also represents winter and water, and those are a little less prominent, but winter sure feels right, what with all the death.
Now you gotta die.
And of course I left Rumi for last because there is a lot to say about her since, main character and all.
But I am the chosen one.
But once again, as you can see from her outfit, her signature color is not yellow. I know, the jacket definitely stands out, but actually all three of them are wearing yellow to tie their entire motif together and to foreshadow golden coming out when they will swap the yellow for, gold. But no, Rumi's signature color is white, as she is hands down the white tiger of the West. And I know what you're thinking, wouldn't the leader be the dragon? But oddly no. Tigers play a huge role in symbolism in Korea, some even saying the country itself looks like one. Tigers are also seen as symbols of strength and power, and often seen as the guardian spirit of the Korean people, which fits pretty darn well for our girl Rumi here. And of course, the most striking feature of tigers is their stripes, or their markings, which again, that's Rumi's whole thing in the movie. She's afraid of people seeing her markings. It's that exact fear that leads to the breaking of the Hanmoon, but also it's her acceptance of herself that allows them to reestablish a new Hanmoon, which again is represented by stripes. The white tiger also represents autumn, aka the season of change, and that is certainly what Rumi is in the middle of in this movie, literally changing forms for a while there to a half-demon, but a carefully designed half-demon. Notice the claw-like hand and the very intentional eye of the tiger that replaces her usual eye. Plus, the tiger is also supposed to represent dusk, the golden time of day between light and dark. And on top of that, she has a tiger friend. Although that said, don't get derpy here confused with the kind of tiger Rumi represents. He is actually part of a different Korean cultural tradition known as minhwa, a style of amateur art which literally means painting of the people. And there's actually a specific genre of minhwa known as kachihorangi, or magpie and tiger, in which an idiot tiger is drawn to look dumb with crazy eyes, which represents, like authority and the aristocracy, and the magpie represents the voice of the people. And if you want to carry that metaphor into the movie, then Derpy represents the Demon King, and the magpie represents Rumi. And actually, fun fact, the whole hat thing they have going on is actually a reference to this painting right here. Which, on that note, Jinu telling Rumi that he made the hat for the tiger, but the bird keeps stealing it, that represents the promise that Jinu made to the Demon King, which was giving him his soul, but Rumi keeps stealing him/it. Get it? Because Jinu wears the hat when he's in demon form. But then at the end of the movie, when she finally gets his soul back for him, he just turns around and gives it to her in a great big sacrifice. Aw. Deeper than you thought, huh? Anyway, that just leaves one member to be filled out on our little compass here, which you'll notice is also the shape of the Huntrix logo. I know the director said it was a nod. The three sides are supposed to represent the three members of the band, and the fourth one is supposed to be the fans, but I feel like it works as a compass too. But our fourth mythological creature is the Vermilion Bird of the South, which represents fire. And if you don't know, vermilion is just red. So that means it's a red bird of fire. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not a phoenix? As in bird that is reborn from the ashes? As in Jinu just died? Could he end up being reborn as the 4th member of Huntrix? I don't know. I mean, honestly, I have no doubt we have not seen the last of him, but I also strongly suspect the 4th member is yet another girl who we have yet to meet. But if you see like trailers and stuff, be on the lookout for a girl wearing red. Okay? But in the meantime, enjoy this hero shot of the girls at the end as they come together to celebrate Rumi for who she truly is. The white tiger, dressed in all white with her stripes on full display. Boom. Oh, so epic. Seriously, this movie has just so many layers, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. Like, at the end, they make the new Han Moon that's like rainbow rather than gold, and I guess like that's better probably, right? Is that what they were trying to do from the beginning? Is this the permanent shield? It feels like the movie's saying it's better, but since then we have learned that some of the demons down below were just people who were enslaved by the Demon King, who is now dead. So did they also just trap a bunch of people down there too? I don't know, but I do have a couple of questions for you guys. One is, what is your favorite song from the movie? Mine is How It's Done, Done, Done. And 2, what other questions about K-Pop Demon Hunters would you like us to tackle? Any theories you have out there? If you want to see more content exactly like this one about K-Pop Demon Hunters, please be sure to hit the like button and like share this one out so that like, you know, we know for sure you want more content like this. Thanks. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future K-Pop Demon Hunter stuff from us. This was super fun to dive into. I love it when we get to like jump into another fandom for a couple videos or so. If you want to see some of our Bluey videos, I recommend you check out right here to find out maybe who Bluey is going to marry. That one is one of my favorites. But otherwise, until next time, Ben, I will see you in another life, brother.